Do you want to become the best Lee Sin player who single-handedly carries his teams to victory? Well, look no further, because in 12 minutes I will teach you everything about Lee Sin to go from this to this. 100% guaranteed result, by the way. As Bill Gates once said, if you want to master Lee Sin's insect combo, then start from learning his abilities, and that's exactly what we are going to start with. First of all, Lee Sin's passive is called Flurry, which gives Lee Sin's next 2 attacks bonus attack speed and also restores some of his energy. The way how you proc this passive is simply by using one of the skills. So the ideal way how to get most out of Flurry is by spacing out your abilities and adding 1 or 2 attacks between them. For the maximum efficiency in jungle clears, you should use an ability, make 2 attacks, and then repeat the same thing with other abilities. Now on to the Lee Sin's first ability, which has 2 parts. First is where Lee Sin fires an energy wave in the target direction, which damages the first enemy hit and marks them. Lee Sin can then recast Sonic Wave to perform Resonating Strike to the marked target, which will make him dash to the target and deal damage. The damage increases the lower the marked target's health is. So in some instances you might want to wait with the recast once enemy is lower HP. Also be wise with the recast when enemy champion that is marked has some sort of movement ability. Ignoring that could make you end up in a place you don't want to be. You can use this ability for engaging, disengaging, optimizing jungle camp clears, stealing dragons, and at the top of everything, it is also big part of Lee Sin's damage output. So make sure to practice hitting that Sonic Wave. Lee Sin's second ability has 2 casts as well. First one is Safeguard, which allows him to dash to a target location, and if there is an enemy upon his arrival, then Lee Sin gains a shield. Now the second cast is called Iron Will. It is an auto attack reset which also grants bonus magic damage, plus it gives physical and magic vamp to his next attack. It's worth knowing that every time you basic attack its cooldown is reduced. Also the third ability has 2 casts. First part of it deals AoE magic damage and also reveals enemies, which means that it's great ability against champions with invisibility, like for example Akali and Vayne. You should always use Tempest when clearing jungle camps with multiple monsters like raptors, wolves and krugs, because as mentioned it does AoE damage. Second cast is Cripple, which slows all the enemies hit by Tempest. Lee Sin ultimate is called Dragon's Rage, and this is a heavy single target kick, which knocks your main target away, damaging and knocking up all the enemies who the main target collides with. Using Dragon's Rage you can make insect combo, where you will knock an enemy player into your team. It is also great ability to defend carries in your team in case someone dives onto them. This is how you should max the abilities. Q goes first because it has the highest possible damage output out of all of Lee Sin's abilities. W is maxed second as it reduces its cooldown and therefore increases his mobility. And as always, get a point in your ultimate whenever possible. As for the runes, there are 2 viable options for Lee Sin. First one is the standard Electrocute, which is more useful to gain that early game advantage to start snowballing. And the second option would be Conqueror, which is more for mid and late game. Decision which one to go for comes down to your matchup. In champion select you should look if your team has frontliner or any tankier champions. If not, then you might want to go for tankier build yourself, which means that you will benefit more from the Conqueror rune. In case your team has tanks or frontliners, then you might be able to go full assassin build, which means that you will benefit more from the Electrocute rune. As for the secondary runes, I would go with Brutal, which gives some extra damage. Then Hunter Titan for bonus health and tenacity. And lastly Pathfinder, which grants him movement speed in jungle, bushes, or river. This rune really helps you to have more impact on the map. For the summoner spells you should go with Flash and Smite. After slaying 4 large monsters you will be given option to choose between Challenging Smite and Chilling Smite. Go for Challenging Smite if you are against strong dual champion like Olaf or Xin Zhao, as it gives some extra damage for 5 seconds. Choose Chilling Smite if you need to chase down an enemy or want to have more success in ganking, because it applies slow on an enemy for 2 seconds. First item should be Ghost Blade, as it provides everything Lee Sin needs for early game impact like damage, ability haste, attack speed and especially the movement speed. Next up we have Trinity Force, which gives similar statistics as Ghost Blade, but it also adds some HP. In case you are behind and want to go for tankier build, then get Black Cleaver instead. For the third item, go with Guardian Angel. GA's passive comes really handy as Lee Sin often dives into the middle of the fights. Fourth and fifth items are optional as it depends on the matchup. One of the options to consider is more of Malmortius if enemy team has bursty AP champions like Fizz, Akali, and so on. If enemy team is tankier or if they have strong healing abilities, then get Mortal Reminder for the armor pen and healing reduction. In case your team doesn't have a tank, then you can go for some more defensive options like Death's Dance, Spirit Visage, Sterix Gauge, Dead Man's Plate, and I have seen a lot of higher rank players go for Force of Nature if they are against teams with magic damage. As for the boots, I would go with Mercury's Treads against teams with lots of CC and magic damage, and Plated Steel Caps against physical damage team comps. In case you are fed, you can go with Ionian Boots of Lucidity or Gluttonous Greaves, but most of the time I would stick to first two options. For the enchantments, I would suggest something that I saw many high rank players use, which is Locket or Redemption Enchant. Since Lee Sin's playstyle is about team fighting and diving into the middle of the fights, then I think it only makes sense to have something like Locket or Redemption, as your teammates will be able to benefit from it as well. Definitely in some scenarios I would consider getting Stasis Enchant like against Zed or Fizz. Another interesting option that some high rank Lee Sin mains prefer to use is Teleport Enchant, which helps with your impact on the map. First thing you wanna do is get some information where enemy jungler is starting, by warding enemy jungle or preferably one of the buffs. Second thing you need to consider to make a game plan for your early levels is what champion enemy jungler is playing. If it's a strong early game champion like Xin Zhao, then invading is most likely not going to be the option. There are two strategies to go for depending on the things we spoke about. First is invade. If you are really confident that you can beat enemy jungler at level 1, then unlock Q first and go for it, but other more safer option is by warding enemy blue buff, unlock W ability for healthier clears, get your red buff and then do the raptors, and by that time you finish raptors enemy should come to the blue buff, which is when you can go for a kill. Also remember to ask your allies to ward your blue buff in case enemy tries to steal your blue. In case you are unsure if you can beat enemy jungler or not, then go for safer option, which is to ward your blue buff, go back to the base, get the sweeping lens, and then proceed to red buff, wolves, blue buff, and then rift scuttler. While you are clearing, keep an eye on the map to see if you can potentially make an early gank to get a kill, because Lee Sin is still all about that early and mid game. The sooner you start successfully impacting the lanes the better. As of right now in lower ranks I haven't noticed a Lie laners leashing the jungler to help to take down first camp, and if that's the case in your rank, then do as I said before by unlocking W, which allows you to clear camps without problem. Other important thing to pull off a successful gank is knowing or denying enemy vision in the jungle, and that's why I took the sweeping lens to check any potential wards. If you are not sure when it is right time to gank, then two simple things to pay attention to are if enemy is closer to your turret, or if your ally has crowd control. Even though Lee Sin is really good ganking champion, don't forget to also farm jungle camps as you need that gold and experience. Because Lee Sin's power falls off in the late game, then getting objectives is another important thing for Lee Sin. After each successful gank you should try to secure an objective like a dragon or herald, as well as to take down enemy towers. One nice trick you can do even when you don't have priority over the dragon or heralds, is this combo, which allows you to steal whatever jungle objective you want. In case enemy jungler comes for a steal, you can use your ultimate to kick them out of the smiting range. When it comes to team fights, then Lee Sin has very nice tools for that as well. The insect combo I mentioned in the intro is something you can use to get an easy pick on enemy champion, and how to execute this combo is what we are going to speak about next. We will start with easy stuff and then move on to more difficult combos. First of all, I thought I would mention that if you are using ultimate while in auto attack range, then you can sneak in a free auto attack for some extra damage. So whatever combo you are going for where you stand in auto attack range, then always try to get that one auto attack after using the ultimate. Next up we have the basic insect combo. To start with you have to land your Q on enemy and then recast it. During the resonating strike animation already aim W in whichever direction you want to kick the enemy. As soon as resonating strike animation stops use W and ultimate. In case you want to leave your opponent even less time to react to the insect combo, then use flash instead of W. Simply execute the combo like basic insect, but replace W with flash. If you find it difficult to execute this combo smoothly, then you can use input buffering, which is queuing up an ability so that it fires instantly after another ability. To understand it better, then let's try it out with the insect combo we just spoke about. First thing you got to do is to make sure you have enabled the portrait lock from the settings. Then lock in your target, land the Q and recast it. Already during the animation you can press ultimate and aim your flash. Once Lee reaches the target you can release the flash. Very important thing to remember is not to move your joystick while doing the combo, because it will cancel the input buffering. Knowing how to execute insect combo greatly benefits ganking and making picks during the team fights, so make sure to master it. Next up we have a combo what they call Chinese insect, which you can use for example for turret diving. First of all dash towards the enemy using W, then flash. Use Dragon's Rage and as enemy is flying land Q and follow up with second cast of Q. This way you will be able to quickly get out of turret range without taking too many turret shots. Now we have a combo that is especially good when ganking dragon lane, or in general when you need to get a pick on an enemy carry who is standing behind another enemy champion. Start by landing your Q and recasting it, use W flash to get to the desired enemy champion, and then kick both of them by using the ultimate. If you aim it correctly then the collision will impact both enemies. If not, then you will be able to kick only the one further away. With previous combos I didn't add any auto attacks to them because it will always change depending on the situation you are in, but the last combo I am going to show how it ideally looks to add full rotation of abilities and auto attacks between them. Start by dashing to the enemy using W, auto attack, then use E auto attack, recast W and auto attack. Recast E and aim the Q, then ultimate and sneak in that one auto attack, and to finish off recast Q and again auto attack. I hope you enjoyed this guide, and if you did then make sure to subscribe for more. Bye guys.